All religions have a sacred calendar of some sort, and one of the most elaborate is the Jewish year. And with me today I have Rabbi Mendy Lent, who is going to take us on an overview of the Jewish year. First of all, Mendy, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Lovely to be here.
The Jewish year, 365 days, take us through it.
Jewish year, not 365 days.
Okay.
354 days is the basic year. There's a variation of a couple of days, and sometimes we have an extra month. I'll talk through that briefly. The Jewish calendar is a lunar solar calendar. So the seasons are solar, the festivals run by the solar calendar, but the months are lunar. So we have months of 29 or 29 and a half days, so 29 or 30 days. But the festivals need to be, Passover needs to be in spring, for example. Now, due to the 11-day discrepancies in the calendars, it would move by 11 days every year. So we have our leap year is an extra month. We have 7 leap years in a 19-year cycle. So that's just the basic structure of the year. The calendar used to be fixed by seeing the moon, and they would have witnesses come to the Bet Din, the Jewish court of law, and they would give testimony that they had seen the birth of the moon. They would be grilled by various astronomers who were sages at the time to make sure that they were not making anything up. And once that had been verified, they would celebrate that as the new month. And the festivals run by those, so the 10th of the month would be, 10th of the first month would be Yom Kippur, the 15th would be Sukkot or Passover. So it was very dependent on the testimony at the time. Eventually, due to people trying to forge things for their own purposes, their own agendas, a calendar was fixed. I think it's the 4th century, Common Era. Hillel and Rabbi Gamliel, they were sages, and they fixed this calendar, which we still have to this day. So we have a fixed calendar with the months in it. The first month of the Jewish year is the month of Tishrei. The first of Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah literally means the head of the year.
And sometimes translated just as New Year, the Jewish New Year's Day.
The Jewish New Year. People think we're setting off fireworks and partying. It's actually a very, very solemn day, because it's the day of judgment for us. The beginning of the year, what the blessings and how well we fared through the year are established on Rosh Hashanah. So it's a serious day, but again, there's always, it's not a morose day, it's not morbid. We celebrate as well with meals and festivities, but most of the day is spent in the synagogue with prayer, which is when we blow the ram's horn and various other things. We follow that with Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which is kind of the end of the, it's written on Rosh Hashanah, but it's sealed on Yom Kippur. So that's another serious few days in between there. We follow that with Sukkot, the festival of booths, of tabernacles, where we eat outside in unprotected cover with just leaves on the roof, showing our dependency and our reliance on God, and remembering the journey of the Jews in the desert once they left Egypt, where they relied on God for shelter. Sukkot is a 9-day festival culminating in the beginning, the culmination of the reading of the Torah cycle, which is a 53 week cycle, and then we start again from Bereshit, from Genesis. We start again on that day. We go through the next month. Cheshvan, the month we're currently in now, is so the month of Cheshvan follows that. There's no festival than that. We then follow with Kislev, the story of Hanukkah, the rededication of the temple once it was defiled. Then we have Shavat follows a month later. We have the New Year for trees. Then we have Adar, is the month of Purim, when celebrating the time that the Jews were meant to be exterminated in ancient Persia by Haman, and Queen Esther came to the rescue then. We follow that with Passover a month later, the well-known story of the Exodus from Egypt. Shavuot, the giving of the Torah 49 days after Passover. And then we have periods of mourning which follow that, which commemorate the destruction of the temple and those things. And then again we have a month of preparation, the month of Elul, preparing for Rosh Hashanah, and that's a summary of the Jewish year.
And how important is the year? How important is actually knowing what festival it is and celebrating a festival?
For me and for most of the Jewish people that I know, their calendar revolves around the festivals. So it's hugely important in Jewish life. You know, Rosh Hashanah, what are our plans? First of all, try and be on our best behavior for a little bit. What's happening for Pesach? People plan their holidays and their year all around the festivals. So it's
So the ritual year is still very much the felt year.
Absolutely. Although not everybody is observant on a day-to-day basis, the big festivals people really tend to stick to. Even people who practice very little during the year will make an effort for Passover, for Rosh Hashanah, and various things like that.
The reason I ask you that is that there are two ways of looking at the year. The first way is just looking at it in terms of numbered days. This is the 35th week or something, and it'll tell you how many days it is since the beginning of the tax year and how many to the end of the year, or how many, modern life tends to live in a world where time is just numbered difference. Whereas most religions, they have a year which are actually built around sort of nuggets in the year, these great festivals, before and after a festival. And they form sort of a landscape so that you always know which bit is before and which bit. You're saying to me that this is still very much a lived part of Jewish experience.
It really is. That is how the calendar revolves. What's the next festival coming up? For more practicing Jews, that's definitely far more the case. But even in secular Jews, definitely everybody knows when's Passover and when's Rosh Hashanah. These things are crucial, not just as dates, but as events, lifetime events. These are the only times of the year very often family get together. If they're living abroad, they'll come together for these things. So they're really key, and it's not just dates.
Mandy, we're going to make other videos where we will take people through those many festivals, Pesach, Sukkot, Hanukkah. But thank you for that overview.
Thank you, it's been a pleasure.